Thank you for having me, Maya. Yeah, you know, Naimod, nice to meet everybody here. And yeah, I just wanted to share some things with you guys, that some tools that you can use, some techniques to help with the fear. This is about fear specifically, but this can be used for a lot of different things. I want you to learn some of these tools that you can have in like your toolkit, if you will, or maybe have them written down somewhere on your phone or somewhere that you can use as needed. Something that's different and something that's maybe can serve you in these difficult and challenging times. So first off, my name is Edan Harari. I have a body therapy practice in Miami Beach as well as New York City. I live between New York and Miami, but mostly in Miami lately. And yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years now, working with the body. And as a body worker, I also help people these days mostly with healing the mind by working with the body. So treating the body and working with the body in order to heal the problems of the mind. So there are ways to work with the body as the subconscious in order to shift our mind and to actually change our moods and to get us to be more emotionally balanced. A lot of the work that I do is about emotional release. It's about releasing emotions from our body. And it's all about the emotional charge, right? So what is emotion? Emotion is energy in motion, right? Emotion. And so this is about really moving the energy through our body, because what happens is when we suppress our emotions, is that we store everything in our body and we're not expressing it, we're not releasing it. So we keep everything inside, we contain everything inside. And what this does is it builds up a lot of pressure in our body. So this is all about releasing pressure. If you can think of it really simply, is that if you build up a lot of pressure, let's say in a pressure cooker, right, what happens is it starts to shake and rattle, right? And so there's too much pressure in our body that leads to anxiety. It can lead to fear. And believe it or not, anxiety and fear is in our bodies. It's not in our mind, right? People say, oh, it's all in your head, right? The thing is, though, it's not. It's in our body. And so something that happens to us is that we go into survival mode. So what I do with my clients is really, it's all about getting them out of survival mode by working with the body and triggering them in a certain way to feel all their stuff, to feel what they need to feel in order to express that and release that from their body so that it's no longer a pressure that's built up in the body. And so I do this with my clients one-on-one with hands-on work. So I'm pressing into specific areas of the body in order to get them to feel how armored they are. This is about working with the armor, right? We call this the muscular armor in this one technique that I practice. And so this armor comes on for us, these contractions, these soft tissue and fascial contractions. The fascia is the connective tissue. It's the surrounding of all the muscles. And so it's a protective system. So every time that we feel unsafe in our life, in our world, in our body does this, right? It's like a contraction that happens. It's like a holding pattern. And so what I do is really about getting you to feel that you have this holding pattern, and then the body will eventually let go. And that's the goal, is to get the body to let go, to have you feel safe again in your body. And that's the key, is like, how can we feel safe in this body of ours, in this container, right? This vessel for the spirit, right? And so the work that I do is really about like going in, having you feel where in your body you're holding on to the fear or the anxiety. And then once you feel that in a safe environment and you express that and you release that, that's when you feel better, right? You feel lighter. So most people report feeling a lot lighter after these types of sessions. So what I do is also is teach people over Zoom how to do this themselves and it's a little bit different because it's more active versus passive. During a treatment, you're laying on a treatment table, and I'm actually being the one doing the active, releases on your body. And you're just laying there being passive. But there are ways that we can do this to ourself and to our own body and self-treating. And that's today what I want to work with you guys on and teach you these techniques. There's a few techniques, 2 or 3 that I'm going to show you today and explain to you today that you can use. And what I want you to do is I want you to use these techniques, kind of have them in your toolkit and try them, try different techniques on different days, see what works best for you. There is no guarantee with this, it's not like, like a quick fix or like a magic, thing that happens, but sometimes it feels like that, and sometimes it will be like that, and sometimes it's not. So I want to prepare you for that, knowing that you can try these and see how they work for you, and hopefully you get some relief from them. So I was trained by a psychotherapist and psychiatrist, one of my mentors, and he actually taught me some of these things, and I've used them in the past myself as well during certain situations, and I found them to be really helpful. So the first one is actually that I feel when I think of fear, the first thing that comes up to me for me is like when we have fear, right? There's a part of us that almost wants to scream, right? We just want to scream like, like of just like when there's terror, when there's fear, there's like when we're scared, right? What do we do, like as children? Maybe screaming, right? And so if you think about a good example of this is thinking about going on a roller coaster, right? You're on the roller coaster, you're at the top, and you're about to come down. So what do most people do on roller coasters in the amusement park is they actually scream. A lot of people actually scream, even though they're not really scared. They're scared, but maybe they've even ridden the roller coaster several times, and they still yell because yelling is fun. It feels good. It feels like a release. It's exhilarating. It adds to the adrenaline rush, I guess you could say. If you're like yelling, you're like, and some people even raise their hands up, for the roller coaster, when they do that. So this is a good example of yelling when you're in a fear-based situation, right? And we want to think about different things in our life that are stressors and stressful situations in our life, like this war, or anything, right? That is scary or stressful, or perhaps traumatic even. It's really important to realize that when we have that experience happening, our body, it's almost like that there's a tiger in the room for our body and our nervous system. So our nervous system gets dysregulated, and our body feels like there's like a tiger in the room, when meanwhile there isn't a tiger in the room. So sure, there's potential, harm for us, but at the same time, most of the time, it's usually just or a certain situation, or we're imagining a certain situation that could be really bad, and we go into that survival mode. And so when we're in that survival mode, we're dysregulated. We have a dysregulated nervous system, and we're in that sympathetic state, which is the fight, flight, freeze response. And so this exercise is a way to shift us out of that, and hopefully that's what it does. So the screaming exercise is number one. It's the first one I'm going to show you. I'm going to demonstrate to you. And it's funny because there was a comic that I saw recently that I shared not too long ago on my Instagram. If you check out my Instagram sometime, at Kinetic Body Therapy. And it showed like a woman going into a store, and there's a bunch of pillows for sale, and it said pillows for sale. And then the guy in the store was like, yeah, the ones for screaming are downstairs, And so in other words, like, he's talking about using a pillow for screaming. So today we're going to use a pillow. The reason why I use a pillow is because you can scream into the pillow and not have to bother your family members, loved ones, and neighbors, perhaps. So maybe also your ears. Some of us may scream really loud, and it's a lot, right? So might as well like dampen the voice a little bit and the sound coming out using a pillow. So when you're going to do this is you're going to take a deep breath in, and then you're just going to put the pillow over your face, and you're just going to scream into it. What? And you want to like really like scream into the pillow, and have a glass of water nearby, because it could be a lot on the voice. Maybe some of us are not used to that. And so what you're going to do is you're actually just going to scream into the pillow. And the way that you're going to do this so that you don't lose your voice as well is that you're going to think of doing this like a yawn. Like, what do you do when you're yawning? is you kind of like open your mouth a little bit, just kind of, right? So it's kind of like this wide kind of open mouth. And so what you're going to do is you're going to scream into the pillow in that way so that you don't lose your voice, and be mindful of not losing your voice and having some water nearby if you need to, especially if you're not used to doing this. And I recommend doing 3 screams, like take a deep breath in, scream into the pillow, take a pause, and then again, when you're ready, take a deep breath in, scream as loud as you can, and try to open up your throat as much as you can, and then pause again, and then do another scream. Do 3 screams over the course of a couple of minutes. And then I want you to just take a pause. You're going to pause and you're just going to close your eyes. You're going to feel into your body, maybe place your hands over your chest or over your belly, right? And basically, you're going to do this in a way to tune into your body, really tuning in and feeling, if you can feel the energy moving through the body. But what this does is, for fear, oftentimes, in other words, it releases that from our body. And some of my clients have asked me in the past, what if I'm not angry, or what if I'm not like that scared? Like, you know, what if I scream, but I'm not necessarily angry? Because you can use this for anger as well. Okay, you can use this for anger as well, but today's topic is fear. So they ask me, like, what if I'm not that angry, that I feel like I don't need to scream? Because a lot of us have been shut down. We've been taught to not scream, to hold it all inside, that it's not okay to express ourselves or to be loud or to scream. So what I encourage you to do is to do it anyway and push through it and see what comes up. Because sometimes through the scream, you'll feel some anger or you'll feel some fear coming up. And so through the actual experience of this exercise, you may feel some things coming up for you. So it can be really helpful with expression. This is all about expression. Now, when we have an emotional block in our throats, and there's actually, it's almost like all the muscles and the fascia are just tight and gripping. And so we're not able to fully scream and yell. Trying to do it is gonna help, right? Just try your best. And then if it doesn't work, if it feels like you're so blocked, then I recommend taking your hands, using your middle fingers, and going into your throat and really just seeing if you can open things up and strum the muscles like guitar strings, and go into the muscles and press in and see if you can feel, where am I blocked, especially all in here, the attachment of the SCM, the sternocleidomastoid, right here on the neck. And you're just going to dig your fingers in. And if you're digging in and it hurts and it's tender or it's sore, then usually it means it's pretty blocked, right? Or if it tickles you, then it's really blocked. But you're going to go in there and you're going to press in as deep as you can, all around your neck, onto the muscles, and see if that helps to open it up, and then try it again. I recommend trying this exercise and seeing how you feel, maybe even having a journal nearby and write down how you feel, but make sure that you do the 3 screams and then you just sit there and pause and reflect. I would say do maybe even 2 to 5 minutes of just sitting and just feeling into, what do you notice in your body? What's coming up for you? Right? What's coming up for you? So someone asks here, Lee Cohen asks, how do you scream without losing your voice? So to scream without losing your voice, the way we can do it is just, again, think about a yawn. Like when we're yawning, right? We're kind of like opening our mouth in a certain way where it's not just like a small opening. And what that does is it actually helps with the vocal cords so that you don't, you're less likely to lose your voice. So see if you can figure that out and try that out. Just think about mimicking a yawn, okay? And yeah, if your neck is stiff, just go into it and press in and make your body aware of the stiffness. So this is the energy work technique that I do. Is really about pressing in really deeply into the body, into the areas where we have the armor, where we're armored up. And when we do that, then our body becomes aware of it, and then the body will start to release those areas. And so, yeah, another place that we hold fear, I'm going to give you another exercise. for today. Another place that we hold fear is in our diaphragms, right? Because if you think about it, when we go through a stressful situation, right, we take this deep breath of like, almost like, oh my God, like there's this fear, like, like maybe there's, the alarm went off and you have to run into the mikrat, and you're just like, you have this fear of just like, what do I, oh my God, like there's this fear-based state. So what happens there, right, is that gets stored in our diaphragm, and our diaphragms, which are at that lower rib cage right here, diaphragm's a muscle. And so it can actually get contracted and have this contraction and a holding pattern there. And so what we want to do is we want to see if we can open up that and release that holding pattern so that we can release the fear that's trapped in that area. So what we're going to do is use our middle fingers, all right, for this one. And this is a diaphragm release. And this is an energetic diaphragm release. And so we're working with the energy as well. So we're pressing in really deep. You're going to use aggressive force with your hands into your body. Also know that it's safe. You're not going to be able to harm yourself. Really, it's not so easy to harm ourselves here, but you're going to press in between the rib cage, in between your ribs, and go in really deep, really, really deep into the muscles, the intercostal muscles, which are the muscles that are in between the ribs. And you're going to press all around in this area and look for tender points. Feel into where does it feel tender and locked and contracted and resistant? Where does it hurt? Where does it feel tender? That's where you're going to go in and you're going to press in really deep. Now, this is an energy work technique. This is not massage. This is not trigger point, acupressure, none of that stuff. This is different. And this is all about bringing awareness to the contraction and the holding pattern. And when we bring awareness to that, our body at some point is going to self-correct and it's going to release. And that's what we want. We're looking for the body to just let go. So how do we get our body to let go? We make the body aware that it's holding on for dear life and it doesn't need to, right? So you almost want to come back to your body too during these exercises and say, it's safe. It's safe. I'm safe. You don't have to hold. You don't have to be so contracted and you don't have to have so much armor, right? It's safe to feel. That you want to feel, right? So if there is fear, you want to feel it. And these exercises are a way to feel it further and to complete the feeling and the emotion and to express the emotion and release the energy and move it through your body and your vessel, so that then your mind is more at ease and you have more calm and ease, in the mind. And so really important to remember that tuning into our body and our emotions alone is another exercise of release. It's just feeling into the body and noticing, where do I feel this in my body, right? So if there's fear, where do I feel this fear in my body? Tuning into the body, closing the eyes, sitting there and just breathing and just tuning in. Because so many times when we're in a fear-based state, we're in our head, we're overthinking, right? And we're also outside of our body. We're having an external experience. We're looking outside. And so when we close our eyes and we take a moment to look inside and to really tune in to how I'm feeling in my body, and where in my body do I feel it? Follow the place in the body that you feel it in, and then just pay attention. Bring awareness to that place. Bring awareness to it without any judgment, and without trying to change it. So sometimes I find myself sitting down and I'm tuning in and I'm saying, where do I feel this fear in my body? And I could feel it maybe in my chest. And so there's different techniques. There's a way to go into the chest and release it and press in. And there's another technique of just being with it and just feeling it, bringing the light of awareness to that area of the body. Think of it like a flashlight being like shining a flashlight into that area and just giving it attention. Giving it attention like a small child who's yelling and screaming. What do you do when a small child is yelling and screaming, a child that's in pain? You give them attention, right? You just be present with them, be with them, and just hold space for them. Don't try to change it, right? So we're not trying to change it, we're just tuning in. These are two techniques again, so you can try one. If that doesn't work, then try the other. So sometimes the body needs some support. Sometimes the child needs some support. And so sometimes you can help with that with the techniques. And other times you just want to sit with it and say, you know what if I just bring awareness and attention to this area? What happens there? What do I feel? So oftentimes when I do that, I just start to feel this energy building, and I'm feeling like the energy there and there's discomfort. But if I just sit there with it and I just try not to change it or do anything, then maybe I start to cry, and maybe I start to move the energy through my body, and then I feel so much better after. Crying is a really healthy release. I highly recommend it. You can also, if you feel sad, I recommend putting on a sad song playlist and just sitting there and listening to that with your eyes closed and just feeling it until there's no more of that feeling. When we complete the emotion and the feeling, we move to a different feeling and a different emotion. And then we get to a point when we continue this where we feel better. And when you just feel better and intuitively you're like, wow, I feel a lot better, I feel lighter, then you're done, right? And so taking the time to really sit with our emotions is key. And these exercises are going to help with that. And you're going to use that in between all the sitting and feeling, right? Because if we don't feel these emotions, again, we build up the pressure in the body. We do not want to build up the pressure. We don't want to suppress, right? And hold all that inside, because then it can become toxic, right? And that can lead to illness and disease. So super important that we're always thinking about, how can I regulate my nervous system? And one way to dysregulate it for sure is to suppress the emotions and to hold everything inside of our body. So I hope that was helpful for you. Does anybody have any questions? So yeah, I mean, I want you to think about the energy too. Think about the emotion as like as energy, and think about the energy moving through all the channels and meridians in your body, moving through like everything in the body. Whenever we have a block of energy, then the energy is not able to move through. So you can even just press in to the different areas that you feel blocked and bring some awareness there and play with that technique a little bit. Play with these principles of healing, by pressing in and really bringing awareness there. Because the body is extremely intelligent and wise. Our body is so wise and intelligent, and it knows how to heal itself. So these techniques are all about getting our body to heal itself and self-correct. So we're working with the laws of homeopathy and the natural laws of healing, and the body heals itself when we exaggerate the pattern. So what's happening is whenever the body can't heal itself, or it's having a problem healing itself, it's because it's stuck in a certain part of the cycle, right? It's just stuck, right? So how do we shift the stuckness? Is we actually exaggerate the pattern, telling the body, you need to self-correct, you need to heal. And so we exaggerate the pattern of stuckness. So by pressing into the body, we're doing that. In fact, by yelling, a lot of the times we're doing that as well. We're exaggerating the pattern. So if there's fear and we're holding it inside, yelling is actually exaggerating that pattern and getting our body to come back to that parasympathetic state, or the state of rest, digest, recover, and heal. And so that's how we can become more calm. So you want to try these techniques out, and hopefully you'll feel more calm from them. You can try a combination of them. Sometimes if it's really an intense day, then I recommend doing all these techniques, and maybe share them with your loved ones and family members and friends, and see what they think and how they've. But I recommend you try it out, and let me know how it goes. Feel free to reach out, and if you have any questions. Yeah, I'm also available. I do Zoom sessions as well online with people, virtual sessions, teaching you how to do this on your own body. If you're ever interested in working with me, please do reach out. I'm here for you. And yeah, does anybody have any other questions before we go? Thank you. Thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for being here, for showing up for yourself. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So I wish you all the best. I hope that you all hang in there as best as you can. Sending lots and lots of healing your way, and patience, and just really like good vibes as best as you can. Remembering to um, find the sparks, look for the sparks of light in order to connect to the light, right? Find the sparks. If you look for the sparks, then you'll connect to the light. So being grateful, connecting to gratitude, being grateful for what you have is really helpful, reminding you of that. Something very cliche, but it works really well. And yeah, I'm hoping that you guys will have some more ease in your body and your life, and wishing you all the best.